Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel. We continue our TNT Tuesday Night Titans review series, and we're in the middle of, or almost middle, of the month of May of 1985. Really a nondescript time in the history of the program. Um, Although better than most interviews and some matches here. Actually, a bit of a somewhat iconic angle here as part of this week's program. We open with Bruno Sammartino. Bruno obviously talking about his son David. There's two segments of Bruno, so we'll just combine them together. And for the most part, Bruno talking really about his son's conditioning, about his own conditioning, that Bruno himself has dropped weight. He's talking about coming out of retirement or doing some tag team matches with his son. There's obviously a desire for Bruno to recapture glory and keep his son employed. Um, I'll get to that in a minute, but obviously I don't think that Bruno really understood that David might have only been given a job simply to appease him. I don't think he caught on to this quite yet, but certainly within a few months, anyone with a brain could figure that out. But there is a squash match here with R.T. Reynolds and David Sammartino. And in looking back at this and having watched it, within the last week or so, but looking back at my notes, it strikes me that Reynolds, who is an enhancement talent who I don't think we've seen before, maybe once, but not a regular enhancement talent like a Steve Lombardi or Jim Powers or Johnny Ross, but a relatively nondescript guy, is given a whole bunch of kick out offense. I mean, he kicks out of Sammartino hitting a back suplex. He kicks out of Sammartino hitting a vertical suplex. And finally, Sammartino wins with a power slam. But, I mean, think about this. By almost the midpoint of 1985, David Sammartino, after having a WrestleMania match with Brutus Beefcake, which, is what it is, but after that, he's having a competitive match on television with an enhancement talent. I mean, if you don't see the handwriting on the wall and the star falling there, I don't know that you'll ever see it. Just really kind of disturbing. I mean, nice power slam by David. And again, that fold up back suplex that I talked about in the last review used here. But David, not long for the WWF wrestling world, to say the very least. Then we move on to a Roddy Piper and Cowboy Bob Orton segment. They kind of talk about the betrayal of Paul Orndorff. They talk about, primarily they talk about the injury to the forearm and the wrist area of one Cowboy Bob Orton. Now, if you've been around for a while, you know that the injured wrist forearm thing was done with Iron Mike Sharp. And now they seem to have put it onto a bigger star in Cowboy Bob Orton. But they do it, Orton basically says that the injury never heals, and so McMahon implies that he doesn't believe, so they should go to a doctor, and they actually do, after a enhancement match, send Mr. Orton to a medical professional. Um, anyway, Bob Orton and Paul Roma do battle in an enhancement match. Obviously, Orton with victory here. Orton's so smooth; he can bring a good match out of anybody. And if you are in an independent role, and I understand COVID right now, and we're going to look back on this time and realize, wait a minute, there was several months of time where the world was shut down. And just to think that it's been several months since we've seen a live wrestling event anywhere in the world right now is, at least with fans, is kind of scary if you think about it. Anyhow, um, Orton just it can do anything. His forearms look good. His arm drags look good, and he gets several near falls here early. Roma is competitive, but not so much that it's unbelievable. Um, and then there's a superplex, which, believe it or not, for WWF fans, uh, Bob Orton Jr. is the guy to popularize the superplex. So if you are, at least in this territory, if you are a fan of that particular move, Randy Orton's father is the one to thank for it, at least in the New York territory. Piper then addresses the nature and betrayal of one uh, Paul Orndorff. He is not happy, to say the very least, with the loss at WrestleMania, completely blaming Orndorff. At this point, Orndorff has gone to the good guy side of things for a little while, and probably just under a year before the Hogan and Orndorff feud that comes. I'll enjoy watching the build up to that, but suffice to say, Piper not happy. Orndorff and Piper will do battle at a point upcoming around the circuit, and Piper, mocking Orndorff's ability, questioning his manhood. Just if you like Piper, worth going out of your way to see this. And then the segment that I think everyone should see, just for the acting chops of it, but B, how to tell a story in a non-ring setting and make it believable. Cowboy Bob Orton goes to the doctor. The doctor says that he doesn't think that there's an injury. He does some quote tests on Mr. Orton's arm and says that there is no permanent injury to the arm. At one point, Piper starts calling the doctor a quack and literally quacking at him like a duck. This is comedy gold. I had forgotten about this, and when I was rewatching it for the review, I bust out laughing because, I mean, Piper's just insane. Calling the doctor a quack, saying that this isn't his x-ray, saying that he knows beyond a shadow of a doubt the injury's real, and just really going over the top with it. But Piper is masterful here. Worth going out of your way to check that out. Ivan Putski up next. We've seen Putski a bunch of times. His interview stylings have not changed. He talks about being in fantastic condition. He talks about wanting to make a difference in the area. He's trying to find his way. We go and we see a rather nondescript enhancement match for Mr. Putski with Goldie Rogers. Power moves early, arm drags, arm bars, and then the Polish hammer finishes him off. I mean, it's a completely skippable segment. Then we see more cooking with the Putski man as he finds a kielbasa tree. I don't honestly know that kielbasa grows on a tree. I don't think so. Anyway, so they're cooking up meat and the like, and then we see Piper reacting to all of this and reacting to television time being given to someone other than him as we close the program. As mentioned, the Orton stuff worth going out of your way to see. The rest of it probably pretty skippable. But in any event, that is the TNT review for this particular episode. Please feel free to keep right here, as we will have many more of these going all the way through the program. So until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.